Yasas. What happens when you take two vibrant brothers that are descendants from the Greeks in Constantinople, embracing their American roots, and then ask them to serve up rich tales of traditions, cuisine, childhood memories, and a hearty dose of humor? You're about to find out. This is Baklavine Banter, your passport to all things Greek.
We're back, baby. Baklavine Banter Season 2. Here we go, folks. My name is Petraki, and you are?
And I'm Soto.
Excellent. Welcome back, everybody. We have been on hiatus for the last 4 months while we were producing another podcast, but we are back for the summer, and do we have a show for you? Coming up now, folks, we were lucky enough to get Peter Barber to come on the show. Peter Barber, if you do not know who he is an award-winning author who has written the Parthenon series of books, starting with A Parthenon on Our Roof, and then continue with A Parthenon in Pefki. Him and his wife, Alex, were just amazing on this program. We had a great time with them. There's nothing better than to have a guest that is so engaging that they even catch up off guard. We have never and we're not complaining. It was just so funny to have a guest on the show who questioned us if we knew why we had faki or lentils on Easter. And I don't think they were prepared that we knew the answer.
Which is strange.
Which is strange, but it's strange that somebody questioned our, I don't know, what would you call it? Our religious integrity?
Our Greekiness. Maybe
our Greekiness, yeah. Yes, we pass exactly with flying colors. And by no means are we Greeky Greeks. By no means.
Yes.
You were also amused that towards the end of the interview.
Yeah, we've done lots of these podcasts, and we've never had a guest that at some point said, I have Zumba. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about that, and I go, at what point during a conversation with fellow Greeks did you ever hear, we heard Sirtaki, we've heard Zebekiko, we've heard Kalamatiano. When have you ever heard, I'm going to go to Zumba? Yeah. So, but I don't want to give too much away because that, one of the things for me that made this episode incredible was the dynamic nature of both Peter and Alex. Yeah. I hopefully when you guys see it, you'll get the same out of it. Just outstanding. Not just what Peter has created and his thoughts on being from the UK and making his life and his home Greece. They go back and forth, but that was funny. Zumba has never come up in a
lot of firsts for us on this episode. It was pretty amazing. And I read both books, folks. I'm going to tell you something. These are some amazing books. Peter's writing style, it just puts you right there with them. And I joked with him. I said, I hope at some point in time somebody picks these books up and makes movies out of them, because I think the writing is just amazing. But listen, folks, check out the episode. Check out Peter's website. It's going to be down below in the comment section. I also want to remind everybody, please follow us, subscribe to our channel. If some of you don't remember, because we haven't been on for a while, we are also not only on YouTube, but we're also wherever you can find your favorite podcasts. So without further ado, folks, here's Peter and Alex. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Baklavine Banter. I am Petraki, and you are?
And I'm Soto.
We are honored today to have award-winning author Peter Barber. Peter is the author of the Parthenon Series, A Parthenon on Our Roof, Adventures of an Anglo-Greek Marriage, and also its follow-up book, a Parthenon and Pefki, Further Adventures of the Anglo-Greek Marriage. Peter and his wife Alex, welcome to the show.
Hi guys, nice to
Hello.
be here with you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Peter, before we talk about the book and your time in Greece, let's dive in a little bit to you growing up in the UK. So where in the UK did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in a small town called Watford in Hertfordshire.
Okay.
It's north of London. It's well known for Elton John used to own the football club.
Okay.
It's a small village. I was born into a family with two brothers and a sister. And, quite a boring life until I came to Greece.
So what exactly brought you to Greece?
Alex.
Now I know you go a little bit into the book, but you met her earlier, years before.
Yeah. I met Alex when I was 15 years old.
Right.
Alex was 14. I worked in a small butcher shop as an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Alexandra would go to the school along the road.
Potter Street.
Potter Street, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Every day I would watch her come past the shop, and she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life. She was way out of my league completely.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but
you see these? See where he's
Yeah.
wearing? He used to wear them since he was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's great.
we were kids, and I was in the shop one day, and one of Alex's friends came into the shop and invited me to her birthday party.
Sure.
Which was incredible because
My birthday.
we'd never spoken. I'd only seen her through the window of the shop, and she was my dream. So
Yeah.
I went to the party on the Saturday evening. I was expecting to meet Alex. She opened the door, and she didn't speak a word of English. She only spoke Greek. So now my mother translated, and all Alex said to me was "hello" and "welcome," and
Right.
we never spoke again. I left the party alone. I watched her go past the shop a couple of days. Then after that, she disappeared, and she'd gone back to Greece.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had no way of contacting her. I had no idea at that time where she was, but
Mm-hmm.
she'd just gone. And we didn't see each other again for 20 years. And then one day we met again 20 years later. I'd been married, and my wife passed away. Alex was married. Her husband couldn't take it for more than a year, so they were divorced. So
He always says that. That's why they have bad reputation.
That's the next book.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we met again. It was just the fate meant us to be together. So
Yeah.
and to be honest, I never forgot Alex. All through my years since meeting as a young 15-year-old, I never forgot her. And to meet her again after so many years was just a miracle. And it was just it was in the stars. Now,
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was meant to be.
and since then we've just gone from strength to strength, and it's just a wonderful roller coaster of a ride.
Yeah. It seems like you've had, from your books, you had some amazing adventures.
Oh, very
and the characters, I don't want to call them characters because these are real people.
yes, yeah.
These are real people that you interact with. But
Yes.
when you read this, I mean, this is nonfiction, but when you read this, these characters came out of central casting.
Yes,
It's
yes,
too hard
yes.
to believe.
Yes,
It came out of central casting for a movie. And
exactly.
but the funny thing is, us being Greeks, we know these people.
Yes.
We know them.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know them, who you are, but we know the personalities. We know the types.
Yes,
So it kind of, like I said, it's,
mm,
we don't know them, but we know them because we live,
mm,
in the culture.
yeah.
So when you went to Greece, you talk about in the first book, you talk about how, you get to Greece and you get kind of delve into into the culture of it all.
Yes, yes.
And you talk about in one of the earlier chapters about this idea about exhuming bodies, exhuming the bones,
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
right? And
Yeah.
it's one of the first things you talk about. And as kids, I mean, having
You know.
immigrant parents, we've heard about this, that
Yes, yes.
after X amount years there was not enough great space in the graveyard, so they had to exhume.
Yeah.
So as somebody who comes from the UK and you hear this,
Yes, yeah.
are you thinking what kind of witchcraft is
Yes.
going on here?
To me, it was a revelation. I could not believe what I was hearing.
Yeah,
I mean, it started when the aunties came to visit, and one of them, they were gossiping about one of their friends that had just dug her husband up, and he had melted. And it was a
yeah,
disgrace because God hasn't accepted his bones into the earth. So he must have been a bad person. And I'm
right,
standing there open mouthed thinking, what the hell's going on here?
yeah,
Um, I mean, in England and America, probably the same. You have a tragedy, you lose a loved one, and you bury them, and
hmm,
then the recovery begins. Um, then a few years later, go and dig them up again.
yeah,
Was a revelation, but
yeah,
it's part of the culture, so you have to accept these things, although it's strange. But then they asked me what happens to people that die in England, and I said, well, sometimes most people are cremated, and to them that
hmm,
was a terrible shock. How dare you cremate people? You're burning people. It's blasphemy. You shouldn't do it. So it's such a
correct,
big
yeah,
cultural difference, but it's a beauty in its own way. So you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say something.
Yeah.
yeah,
And don't forget the emotional, the
yeah,
cultural. We never
hmm,
forget them.
Hmm.
We continue.
Mm. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Here, I think it's gone. It's gone.
Mm. Mm.
I'll say,
yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
But if every year we,
R.I.P. I didn't even
mm,
know what R.I.P. was. Jag tillade då R.I.P.
yeah.
Yeah,
But in Greece,
R.I.P.
If
che terma.
but in Greece,
if you remember, if you saw the last My Big Fat Greek Wedding, the
mm,
third one, that was some of the criticism in that. If you
mm.
remember, is that the father had passed
Oh yes,
away and they had cremated them
yes,
because we did an episode, and if you want to go back and see it, when that third movie
yeah.
came out, both Peter and I went to see it, and then we did a
Mm,
review,
mm.
and that was some of the feedback that I think we heard, and then we saw it in the
Yeah, yeah.
comments of Greeks being upset at Neanderthalos for doing that
Yes.
in the movie
While I watched
because
the
cremation
movie,
is a
when
no-no.
I watched the movie, and I'm thinking, I'm seeing this person holding an urn of ashes, and I'm thinking, it can't be
Hmm,
Yeah,
Greek. It can't.
yeah,
This is not a
Yeah,
cultural thing. Uh,
yeah.
but
yeah,
yeah, things move on.
Things move
yeah.
on. Exactly, exactly.
Absolutely. But it's
And then we, as your book continues, you
mm,
talk about how Alex's family home, how the decision with her parents to
mm,
tear down the home
yes,
and build an apartment complex
yes,
there.
well,
yes, yes.
Um,
actually, that was our decision, and
Mm,
we had to convince them to
mm,
yeah,
say
mm,
yes.
because the way you wrote it in the book, it
mm,
seems almost as if, was it agonizing for your mom, Alex, to
Yeah.
make that, to tear it down?
yeah,
Yes, it
yeah.
was because they built it from nothing,
Mm,
stone to
Hmm,
stone.
mm,
My grandfather, who was a captain, and my uncle,
hmm,
who became a captain, but he was a muchos at the time
yep,
mm,
because next to his father, they were sending money through all the oceans that they were traveling, and
yes,
bad
mm,
weather, adventure, and this and that. Any money they would get, they would send it to
mm,
Greece, so the house would be built and finished. So my
mm,
mother has a house when she gets married.
mm,
The
hmm,
brica and
yep,
all that.
yeah.
yep,
So this house we had to bring down in order to make it into parohi,
Mm.
yep,
to give it for parohi.
But the
yeah.
house
So
absolutely beautiful. It was one of the most fabulous
excuse me a
places.
second, but he has a hair. He's gonna get
No.
me. Sorry about that.
It was a beautiful
I
home.
always
It
have tweezers next
was
to me.
behaved.
Okay. cleaner.
Sorry about this.
Oh, you know what? She is so Greek. I can't just tell you. But go ahead, Peter.
Yeah.
We, on that subject, we were having a meal one day in
Yeah.
Pevkey, and one of the tavernas is owned by a chap. He's a huge man, very mean looking. He's
Hmm.
very angry looking, and Alex was staring at him as he was speaking, and then she saw this
Hmm.
hair growing from his nose. So she reached over and she pulled the hair out of his nose.
Whatever he had, it was such a funny face. Yeah, I couldn't concentrate. Wow.
Big one. Big one. That's what that is.
You know, it has to be a cultural thing because I'm gonna tell you this: if my mother sees a pimple on your face,
Pimple?
she needs to pop it.
Yes, yes, yes.
What happened to the pimple
There you
person
go. We had friends came over to Pevkey.
from Romania?
Yeah, from Romania. They
Yeah,
read the book and they wanted to meet us. So
yeah,
we've got a message there in Pevkey. Can they come and visit? So yeah, we loved it. We love to meet people that read the book. So they came around to the house.
yeah.
As they walked in, one of the chaps, his name was Caesar. He had blackheads all over one side of his face.
Εγώ τρελάθηκα. I went cook.
Alex sat him down.
I focused like a vampire.
Alex sat him down, and she was spent
No.
the next hour squeezing
No,
blackheads.
I did ask him. I said, "Excuse me, could I ask you a favor? Would you mind if I have a go at your blackheads?" No, of course not. Okay.
So this poor guy sitting there, and his wife's not knowing which way to look, and Alex is squeezing away at his face. And
Yeah, but what a skin! He came out looking like a different man. I mean, all fresh and
he was beautiful.
wow.
Yeah.
Huh?
And they finished off dancing the Zorba.
Oh yeah,
in
we
the
danced the
garden.
Zorba. Yeah.
Anyway,
It just amazes me like the culture. It's like here we are, thousands of miles away, and Alex, you grew up in a different place where our mother grew up, but the culture is the culture, and it's like I said, it's ingrained, it's in the DNA, and it's
Greek,
just
you mean all of them?
yes, yes.
yeah.
Whenever we go to Pevkey, the people in Pevkey call Alex the crazy girl. Because she just sets them on fire when she arrives. And now when we are on the way,
You know what?
Yeah.
Στα χωριά, in the villages, they're a little bit
Mhm.
more low profile. They
Yeah.
have more rules, more the old fashioned
Yeah.
style. So they always think, what would he say if I do that? Or what would they say behind my back? Or what would they think
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
me or of my family? We still have that in our villages.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I go from Glyfada, Athens, London και δεν συμμαζεύεται.
Yeah.
Three birds are sitting, τρία πουλάκια κάθονται.
Mhm.
Yes, we have the respect. We have our limits. We don't go over our limits. Oh, we
Mhm.
have a good time.
yeah,
We express
absolutely.
ourselves, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And they like that.
Yeah,
They accept that.
Yeah. And now before we arrive, they're all going to have their hair done before Alex arrives. So
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. So cute. They're so cute, aren't they?
anyway, listen, we're coming back to the house here now. I'm
Yeah.
distracted.
I'm not talking.
Right. Okay. So,
I'm out.
so the house was the last house in our street, and it was beautiful.
Okay.
We had a little garden. We had the
Yeah.
small patio to the side of the house.
Yes,
Mhm.
Yeah, bougainvillea growing over the
marble stairs.
terrace. Beautiful.
It was a beautiful
Yeah.
house, really
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And Debbie loved the house. She absolutely loved it. And
Yeah.
her kitchen was no more than 2 meters square. She would have memories of her in the kitchen, just wearing her underwear, cooking, singing at the top of her voice, passing food through this little window. She would pass trays full of food through the window.
Mhm.
It was just a beautiful thing. Sorry.
Sorry. Do you remember the floor of upstairs? What would you call that kind of floor? Like it had pebbles inside,
It's like a paving, a broken paving.
but it wasn't in tiles. It was
Yes,
sheer
a random stone.
random stone.
yeah.
No.
Mhm.
And my uncle brought those cojilla. Do you remember the cojilla? They threw on the floor cojilla, so they were shining.
Yeah.
Really nice, really beautiful. They did the best they could. So suddenly we say to them, we will break it up. It will disappear.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went
Yeah.
cuckoo.
But we were the last house on the street. I mean, all of our neighbours had developed. Everyone
Mhm.
had an apartment block, so we were there. Just the small house left, so
Yeah.
it had to be done.
Yeah. What I really like the way you wrote it, describing it,
Mm,
was how it was an old fishing village with
yes,
dirt roads,
yes,
and then you made the comparison where Glyfada now is the cost of living there is like living in London,
yeah,
and how expensive it's gotten, and the how it's kind of went from a fishing village to this
mm,
suburb of
yes,
Athens, and
yes,
almost, I've heard some people describe Glyfada as almost like the Beverly Hills of Greece to some
yes,
degree.
yes, yes,
I've heard it described as that.
You
yeah.
can I say something?
But go ahead, Alex. Were you going to say
Hey
something?
guys, knees. We had no knees, no skin on our knees because it was all Homa,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Homa and
Earth roads.
Petres.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, but you're right.
All
It
dirt
used to
roads.
be
yeah,
a very, very quaint. Even when I was on the scene, 25 years ago, when I first came on the scene,
yeah.
it was still a village atmosphere. With
Sure. Yeah,
neighbours, we'd walk along the road, and people were sitting in their gardens peeling vegetables, and the chickens running around.
Yeah.
yeah,
And it still had the family atmosphere, and we couldn't walk more than 100 meters without meeting somebody we knew, or a friend or
yeah,
a neighbour.
yeah,
Now it's changed. It's a city now. It's impersonal. But
yeah,
And Mrs. Garifalea would grab a chicken and say,
yeah, of
"Is
course.
that all right if I can cook that one? Is that the one you like, or shall I cook the other one?" She would actually grab a chicken clack, like that, and do you want me to cook this
yeah.
for you?
Yeah, but
Exactly,
You found it.
exactly.
it was
Yeah,
the old Greece, and that's what I loved about it. But when we knocked the house down and rebuilt, um, we lost a lot. We lost a lot of the character of the village.
yeah.
Because everyone was going the same way, because Glyfada, as you say, became the Beverly Hills of Athens. The property prices went very high. The people were developing. They were losing one house, but they're gaining three or four apartments. So
Hmm.
they were using their new wealth to go back to their villages
Yeah,
to enjoy their lives, which is great for
yeah,
them. But it wasn't so good for Glyfada. But
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
things move on. So this is
Yeah,
where they went to put.
Peter, that also transcends to other parts of Athens as well, because when you look at the old Helicon airport there, now they're going to put Hard Rock is going to put a casino there
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
So it's great because in the
Amazing.
Mm,
Parthenon in the second book,
mm,
you talk about the 2009 uh, financial crisis in
yes,
Greece,
yes.
um,
Great.
which kind of talks about the collapse of the euro within Greece,
Mm,
and I'm not going to delve too much into that, but
yeah,
And
yeah.
with
you look at it towards it was almost 15, 16 years later,
Mm,
and now we see Greece has one of the best economies
yes, yeah,
in Europe right now.
yeah.
So you can see, as and I know you guys are big into Greek mythology.
Mm,
It's talking about
mm,
you know the the phoenix rising from the ashes,
very much so.
and you can now see finally
Mm,
the turnaround that's happening in
yeah,
Greece.
yeah.
And if we use the metaphor of the Helicon airport, that
Mm,
that casino
mm,
can be viewed as finally Greece is rising
yes,
from its own perils. Let's just say
yes,
that much.
yes. I mean, now you drive along the coast from Glyfada towards Many, and it's you're passing $1 million resorts and bars
Hmm.
and restaurants. It's absolutely incredible. It's like the Riviera now, the French
Hmm.
Riviera, but even better. Um,
Yeah.
it's incredible how it's come on over the last few years, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful to see. But as I said, it's Greece is become this part of Greece is becoming more of a city, becoming a little bit more impersonal, which is why
Yeah.
we decided we wanted to move off to Pevki to get some of the real Greece back.
Yeah.
So, but now we've got a combination. We have our city house. We still live in Glyfada. We still have a,
Mm-hmm.
but we have the home in Pevki, so we can go and relax, and that's where
Yeah.
we feel what Greece used to be and what parts of Greece still is.
The Greeks,
Right.
the Greeks went through a lot
Yes.
of hardship
Yeah.
with the economy.
Yeah.
That it slapped
Yeah.
us around.
Mm.
It slapped us around. They put the blame
Yeah.
on the Greeks and everything. Fair
Yeah.
enough. I'm not going to go
Yeah.
into this.
Yeah.
But the Greeks
Yeah.
stayed like heroes, like many
Yeah.
other times in history. They stayed like heroes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew we were going to make it. I
Yeah.
knew we were going to make
Yeah.
it. For how long? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I knew we were going to
Yeah.
make it. I was ready to go out. Do you remember? I was ready to get a group together. If they come to take our houses away, we will go out with scuba, with anything we can find to
Yeah.
go against the actual law and the government.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I had talked to. We passed quite a lot of problems, didn't we?
Mm.
But
Good.
what I like
Mhm.
about you guys is that you're real Greeks,
Yeah.
and you have real Greeks, and
Yeah.
you have a lot
Yeah.
of love for
Yeah.
Greece. Bravo,
Yeah.
Rebecca.
But Greece is
What
resilient.
what
The over the centuries, it's been and thousands of years. Greece has been the victims of so many invaders.
Yeah.
Up until recently, I mean, even the Greek economic collapse. It wasn't really
Am
the
I allowed to
fault of
swear? Oh, by the way.
Yeah. You can swear. You can say whatever you want.
it wasn't really the fault of the Greeks
what
as such. It was more to do with the euro. The Greeks wanted to become part of the euro, which was part of the European Union, and they weren't
Mm-hmm.
really ready for it. But the ordinary Greeks didn't realize this. I mean, the ordinary Greeks saw all these motorways being made and the airports being made, and all these signs on the motorway saying a grant from the European Union. They thought it was a grant. They didn't think it was a loan. Then Europe comes back and says, "Right, can we have our
The
money back,
Greeks knew
please?"
everything, but they couldn't stop the whole
No,
system.
no, that's true.
The Greeks are clever.
Mm,
They know everything.
mm.
Pame.
but by the way, Alex, I'm curious.
Who's there?
What is a fake Greek? If we're real Greeks, what does a fake
Oh,
Greek
and
look
I'll
like?
tell you. Okay, we're all real Greeks, but when I say real Greek, I mean when you really love and respect and see the without being blind to see the real beauty and power of Greece. And because your parents are from Constantinople and they had a lot of Byzantine stories and they heard a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
the real Greeks have the real love for Greece. That doesn't mean we have to be in Greece or somewhere else, because some Greeks that are inside Greece that don't really feel that power. Sometimes the Greeks
Yeah.
that go outside the country feel it more.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, we all have the same love, and some can stand out for a little bit of real passion love.
Yeah.
And you two have it. Και με συγκινεί αυτό, I get sensitive.
And Alex
Mhm.
is very passionate. She's a very passionate
Yeah.
Greek. She's very patriotic.
Yeah.
And to a point where even when I was writing the books, I was getting into all sorts of trouble.
Ναι, με την παντόφλα. Πάνε.
I was
That's the official Greek
Yeah.
weapon right there.
I mean, when I wrote the book, I'm trying to write it from inside a Greek family. I'm not trying to write it as a foreigner.
Yeah, but you still have the English thing in
Stop
there.
it. I'm not trying to write it from the point of view of a foreigner. I'm trying to write it from the point of view from inside a Greek family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I managed that. But some things that made me laugh. I'll give you an example. Greek driving. Now, I wrote a chapter on Greek driving. Now, Alex,
Oh, I have your list.
yeah,
I have your list.
okay.
Brilliant. It's brilliant.
Alex got so upset with me about writing it, and I said, "Look, this is true. I've done it. I've been there. I've seen it." But she got so upset with me because I'm I'm in effect criticizing Greece, and I'm not. I'm not criticizing Greece. I'm saying this is a difference between this type of driving, this country driving, and this country driving, and it's a comparison. It's not a criticism. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I think. Well,
yeah,
I'm
go
sorry,
on.
Peter. I was going to say, I think one of the qualities that's interesting about being
Mm.
Greek, and you see this with um, Aunt Angelo, the
Yes, I love
comedian
Angela.
who
Yeah.
we love, and Nia Vardalos and how she wrote her
Mm.
movies. And if you listen to
Mm.
us, and when we listen to
Mm.
you, I think one of the qualities about being Greek is we are not afraid to be
Mm.
self-effacing,
Mm. Yes.
right? We're not afraid to be Greeks and
Yes.
say, "Did you see the way that Greek was driving?" When we are Greeks
Yes. Yes.
ourselves, and I think that's
Yeah.
there's an authenticity
Yes.
to it that in a world sometimes that
Mm.
struggles to try not to
Mm.
judge
Yes.
others,
Yes.
we can laugh at ourselves as well as anybody can laugh at us, and right there, I think it's
Yes.
disarming.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the qualities that I see it in other cultures. I have a good friend of mine who is
Yeah.
Sikh
Yeah.
Indian, who lives in
Yes.
Chicago, and came to this country when he was
Mm.
20. And he tells me stories about going to when he was younger, going to the
Yes.
clubs where other Indians, and his stories are
Mm.
hilarious. But at the end of the day, he's making fun of his
Yes.
own. He's not making fun
Yes.
of some other race. He's making fun of his
Yes.
own.
Yes.
And I've always that's the reason why we even started this
Mm.
Yeah.
podcast. It wasn't even necessarily to focus on Greece. It wasn't to focus on any
No.
aspect of the
No.
culture other than how funny
Yes. Yes.
as we got older, we thought about growing up, our
Yes.
mother, our
Yes.
grandmother, and sort of the weird things that happened that then the movie
Mm.
came out
Mm.
and you go, oh
Yeah.
my God, we should have ran video in our family years ago.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
genius.
Yes.
So anyway, I think that's one of the qualities that I appreciate about
Exactly. It's
Greeks
the humor.
in particular is that we are not afraid to laugh
Yes,
at
exactly. The
ourselves.
humor in Greece is incredible, and Alex teaches me so much. I mean, we had a situation. It's in the next book coming out. I'll give you a little sneak preview. Uh,
Okay.
we were
Yeah,
flood.
can I say something? Have you heard the word comico tragico?
Yeah.
And that's exactly it.
Mm.
Comico tragico. It's a comic tragedy.
Yeah,
So
Oh
that's
yeah.
the best thing, isn't
yeah.
it? Because
So
it has both. It has both. Always a
100%.
yeah,
κάτι
yeah,
κωμικό έχει και την τραγωδία. We're the best.
Yeah.
We're the best,
yeah.
the Greeks. Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you a little bit about Greek humor. My next book is about a flood that we were suffered in Nevki. We had the storm of the century last year.
That was a
Mm-hmm.
tragic.
And the river changed direction and came through our house, and it
Oh wow.
destroyed everything, destroyed the garden, destroyed the house, destroyed everything. But we managed to get hold of a guy with a bulldozer to start clearing our land.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our neighbours, a crazy old lady, she reported us to the police because she was accusing us of actually blocking the river and causing the flood in the village. Crazy, but the police have to come. Now, the police came along to arrest us for blocking the river.
Again.
Yeah, again. Alex said to them, no, sorry, I'm too busy to be arrested now. Bugger off, go away.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
the police were trying to arrest Alex, and Alex was resisting arrest and just closing the door and saying, just go away, I'm too busy. Anyway, the guy driving the bulldozer turned up, and the guy walked past the police officers, got into his bulldozer, started the engine, and the policeman looked at the bulldozer driver and said, are you the bulldozer driver? And this guy said, I can see why you're a detective. You miss nothing. You're under arrest. So Alex, me, and the bulldozer driver were carted away by the police under arrest. So, but you have to read the book to find out more.
Wow.
So this is the humor.
It's a heck of a
The
cliffhanger.
humor is everything, the humor's everywhere there, and it's fabulous.
Just to go back what you're saying about driving, I'm just gonna read your first rule here
Okay, go on.
that you posted, and it was all good, and I can understand why Alex may have gotten upset with you, because the rule number 1 for driving in Greece: watch out for car owners opening their doors without looking while parked. A Greek driver does not understand that there are other people on the road, and he will never look behind him. Perfect. But then you added this part: they only use mirrors for makeup or hair combing. Brilliant.
And
I was so amused when I read through that list. I was so amused by it. I'm like, I'm like, this guy, you're like 100% right on this. 100%. But it could also be said about driving in Italy as well,
yes,
or other Mediterranean countries.
absolutely.
It's this lack of, there's no self-awareness.
No.
It's like they don't know who's around them,
Yeah.
when they're around them. They just look forward and do their own thing.
Yeah, my favorite is what I call dick lights. It's the when people put their hazard lights.
Oh yes,
Yep.
yes.
You're following a car, and suddenly the hazard lights go on. You've got no idea what he's going to do. He's going to turn left, turn right, stop, whatever. But you never know, and everybody does it, and it's absolutely, it drives me nuts.
So he calls them dick lights.
Yeah.
It's not a dick light.
I don't know if it's like in the States,
That's
but
funny.
if when you say thank you to someone in the States, do you flash your light to say thank you if they let you out, or
No,
you
no.
don't? Okay. In England,
No.
we have a thing that if there's two cars on the same road and the road's too narrow to go for both cars to pass, one of us will flash our lights to say come. Now, in Greece, it means something completely different. In Greece, if somebody flashes your lights, it means get out of the way, I'm coming through.
Be careful.
Okay. So it's a very dangerous thing, because as an Englishman, you flash your lights to say, come through.
What about the roundabout?
Oh, God.
The roundabouts.
Yeah. And also, the other thing we have in England is when we want to say thank you to someone, we hold our hand up. And in Greece, I mean, that's
you give him the mungias. Yeah, nah.
Exactly.
You know what? His whole family is showing up now to your house.
Somebody's let me out of a side turning, and I say thank you, and Alex is going, no, stop, don't. Yeah.
I'm just thinking we need a travel guide for Greece, and I think that's what that's like mungias.
I think it's got to be written. I think you have to write the alternative travel guide, what do's and don'ts in Greece.
Exactly.
And especially in front of older.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Especially.
Yeah.
Oh. Because they get offended the most about it, because
Yeah.
So
Pete,
I want
Pete, don't sit like this. Bring your foot like that.
God, yeah,
don't be without shoes. Don't be without socks. Don't put your back to the thing. Say sorry. He said, for Christ's sake.
I just want to, as we're I'm kind of going through the different chapters of the book. I just want to touch base a little bit about your uncle Vasily.
Fantastic.
And Peter, you did a wonderful job describing him. And what really caught my attention is, and I wasn't expecting you to go,
Acropolis, the Parthenon.
What really impressed me was how you kind of drilled down a little bit about him when he was a young man, questioning his own sexuality.
Yes.
And how Alex's mother was worried on how that would be viewed upon the family.
Yes.
And my grandmother.
Yeah.
It was your grandmother. I'm sorry, your grandmother. Yes.
His mother.
And and it was like, wow, like things you really don't think about nowadays,
No,
how things are,
no.
but and how devastating that it would have come out
Mm, mm,
if that was the fact, and
yeah.
it was the family's duties to keep that a secret,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But then we all know, when he went, you know, his father found him in the lower,
In the flesh pot.
lower decks with women, oh wow,
Everything's
that
fine.
was,
Yeah. So
yeah,
I'll go
yeah,
to the church and thanking God because he's been caught with women in the ship.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
But he was an amazing character. This guy, an absolutely
yeah.
incredible.
It seems like that, the way you describe him, was he that big of a man, like the way you described him?
He was a bear, a huge man.
Yeah,
But always smiling, always giggling. He had a tremendous sense of
A
humor.
very loud voice, very
Yes,
heavy.
yeah, booming voice.
Dear God,
yeah.
yeah. I thought, oh my God.
Yeah,
And obviously, he used to, when he talked, he used to use his hands.
yeah, yeah,
He used to bang, bang, bang.
yeah,
He was very expressing with his hands.
yeah, yeah.
I was
Mhm.
scared of him when I was a kid.
Mhm.
Scary.
I was scared of him.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Were you?
No,
That's what I was going to ask you next. When you first met him, was it intimidating?
it was terrifying, to be honest, because I saw this guy, this great big guy in a uniform at the gate, and he was really loud voice. And at that time, I didn't understand any Greek at all. I just heard this guy yelling from the gate.
Yeah.
I thought, who the hell's this? He looks dangerous. But when you get to know him, he was an absolute pussycat. He was such
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
guy. He would be telling you a story about someone he'd met on his travels, some unfortunate person that he'd met, and his eyes would fill, and the tears would roll down his face just
Yeah.
talking about somebody.
Yeah.
The emotion that he had.
But
But
he was a communist.
yeah, 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 but not a real communist.
No, I mean, in a good sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
everybody should be equal. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But he was a very good guy.
Yeah.
He was a little bit of a black sheep of the family because
Sure.
he
All
married.
right, guys, because we're going to go to Botany to find out where the house is.
Yeah.
This is the corner of, you want to show them? Close. This is the corner of Botany.
Hold on. There you go.
Okay.
And this
Okay.
is how old Botany was before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from our house.
Yeah.
Nice, huh? Chic.
Yeah.
So Vasilis was, as say he according to the family, he married several times, but he never actually had got a divorce from anyone.
Yeah.
He his last wife was Kenyan, and he lived with her in Mombasa until he died. But
He had one in Japan,
Yeah.
one Greek, one Spanish.
yes,
From what we know,
yeah,
right? We don't. From what he.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he was an incredible man, and spending time with him, the stories that he would come out with, the experiences he had, he just had us laughing constantly. I mean, he had his teeth taken out when he was quite young, and he tried the dentures; they didn't work, so he threw them over the side of the ship, and he never wore dentures again. He
Yeah.
was just completely toothless, but he used to crunch bones with his jaw, with his gum.
Yeah.
But loud but kind, very loud but
Yeah.
kind.
Yeah.
Real gentleman.
Yeah. I found the part where you're saying that, he would get the mastica from Hios,
Yeah.
and he would chew on that.
Yes,
Oh, yes.
yes, yeah,
That was,
yeah, yeah.
that was really great.
But he was a lovely,
And then, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, just said he's a lovely man. We loved him.
It sounded like he was just one. When you say bear, it's more like of a teddy bear.
Yes, yeah. He looked like a grizzly bear, but he acted like a teddy bear.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Peter, when you first, when I'm just curious, what was it like for you experiencing Greek Easter for the first time?
Oh, amazing. The I what struck me more than anything else is the way everybody in the village celebrated. Not one person stayed at home. Everyone would go to the church. The church. There was the first time was in Glyfada. We would go go to church with the whole village, and there was too many people to get inside the church, so we all crowded around outside. When the Epidopteros came out, we would follow the Epidopteros around the streets with the band, all holding candles, and it enforced to me the culture and religion is not separate in Greece; it's together. And I think many countries have lost that.
Mm-hmm.
And no more than Easter. Easter was an absolutely incredible experience, and we make sure now every Easter we're in Greece, and we have to celebrate it together all every time. But it's an incredible custom.
Yeah.
And then,
That's that's my uncle Vasily when he was young,
Wow.
and he must have been close to Honolulu because he's wearing flowers. That doesn't mean he's strange. You got him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. So I've lost what I was saying now.
Easter,
Easter.
working up
Right. Okay. So it's the culture and the religion is all together, which I loved. I absolutely loved that. But also the celebration, the cooking of the lamb, the whole lamb. Everyone in the village cooked the whole lamb.
Mm-hmm.
And the kokoretsi and the margaritza, the traditions that have gone on for
Yeah.
He loved that one.
centuries.
That was his favorite.
Yeah.
What, margarita?
There's an acquired taste.
The margarita. He wanted that every day after that.
I bet he did.
No.
But it's a beautiful culture. It's a beautiful time of the year, and
Mm-hmm.
it's other cultures in England. We would celebrate. We wouldn't celebrate Easter as children. We would have an Easter egg or a hot cross bun. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
there was no no religious relevance at all. No, people
Mm-hmm.
didn't bother with this.
Yeah.
It was just another public holiday. People could put their feet up for a day. But
Yeah.
I didn't realize the true meaning of Easter until I came to Greece, and
Yeah.
then now I understand, and it's a wonderful thing.
Because you speak about the book, I think you almost seemed surprised
Mm.
at the intensity of the fasting
Yes,
that would take place
yeah,
during Lent.
yeah. We tried it. Alex and I tried it once, and we decided we're not going to eat meat. And at that time, I was traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were first together, I was working in England and traveling to Greece every weekend. So I would leave England a Thursday evening, fly overnight to Greece, and then back in England for Monday morning. So
Mm-hmm.
it was every single weekend Greece, every weekday I was in England
Very
working,
tiring for him.
and we were fasting at the time. And I found that I couldn't cope with it. I tried
Yeah.
the nut burgers in McDonald's. They didn't hit the spot at all. Alex was suffering because she can't survive without cheese, and obviously no milk without milk and coffee. And it was a very hard time for us, but
Yeah.
we appreciated what people go through to achieve it. So it is a
Yeah.
fast. It is a Lent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we did it the right
Especially.
way, without calamarakia and all that. We did it the real, nero.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
But I think it's very difficult, especially here in the States, to
Mm.
follow those guidelines. It's very, very difficult,
Yes.
especially for kids, I would say.
Yes.
Growing up, my mother understood she wasn't going to be that stringent with us.
Mm.
But Holy Week, we'd
Mm.
probably start Wednesday night giving some, fasting,
Yeah.
but she'd make like 12 gallons of faki.
Ah,
And so, we'd be eating the lentils,
yeah. Yeah.
for 2 or 3 days because that's all we could eat,
This is the same. She only eats lentils through Holy Week. She won't eat
Yeah.
anything else. No cheese, no bread, just lentils.
Yeah.
Through a Holy Week, and it's lovely to see. But
Yeah.
I think if you were in Greece, you'd find it a little bit easier because
Sure.
they cater for it. So many people.
Yes,
The
100%.
restaurants are are geared up for this sort of thing. In the States or UK, there's no way that they would be geared up for it. But
Yeah.
this is easier. But
And
it's
what
still
did your
hard.
mom say about faki? Why you have to eat faki?
Because it was the tears of Mary.
Yeah.
Did I get it right? Was that the right answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've never had somebody quiz
Yeah,
us
we never
on
got
this,
quizzed like that before. I'll let her know that we passed the test. We are real Greeks. That's how we do. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
by the way,
That's awesome. I didn't know we needed props today. I should have made props.
which by the way, that is now one of my favorite foods.
Oh,
Faki.
really?
I make it. Yeah, lentils
Okay,
the way my mother
really?
used to make it. Faki basically is one of my
amazing,
favorite foods.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
You
know,
Daphne, βάζεις και Daphne μέσα.
Όλα τα
Daphne,
Yeah.
όλα.
Λίγο τσιμένι από τον μπαστούρμα.
Oh, super,
I mean,
super,
it's
super.
You got the triple super for that recipe.
Extra
Πρέπει να
special.
πάει. Φακή
Extra
πάει.
Yeah.
Ωραία.
You know, Peter, in the second book, A Parthenon and Pefki,
Yes.
you kind of start off the book in the earlier chapters talking about the bureaucracy in Greece.
Yes.
Did that surprise you?
Yes, very much so. I couldn't believe
Welcome to Greece.
I couldn't believe how difficult things were. Incredible, absolutely incredible. The most simple tasks would take days, and yeah, the people that make rubber stamps in Greece must make a fortune. You know, I mean, buying a boat in Greece. I mean, it took a day in the Coast Guard's office to take it off, to take it out of the name of the person that sold it to me, and then another 4 weeks to actually put it in my name in Pefki. The bureaucracy, the stamps, the permissions, unbelievable. I mean, I think I wrote in the book about trying to pay a parking ticket.
Yeah.
You know, trying to do anything is mind numbing. You know, we went to try to get a national insurance number, ICA number.
Mhm.
I think I wrote that somewhere as well. But you can't sort of turn up. You've got to go at 5 in the morning, and somebody passes one of the security guards passes a little ticket through the door with your number on. So 5 o'clock in the morning, you go away. You come back at 8 o'clock, and when it opens, and then you've got your ticket ready. So, but even then, we got to the front of the queue, and because we filled out the form in Greek, he threw the form back at us and said, "Well, it's got to be in Latin." Now, I had no idea. I said to Alex, "What do you mean Latin? We're in Greece. Why does he want the form written in Latin?" Alex said, "Because it's got to be in Latin characters, which is English characters. Because you're English, you can't write in Greek. It has to be Greek, but in English characters."
Oh, we call it Latin alphabet. But they didn't know. The English didn't know they had a Latin alphabet. And we had to go to ICA to find out.
I think, you know what? That's the quote of the episode right now. The English didn't know they had a Latin alphabet.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes. Yes. Yeah.
So would you say, with regards to when you were doing the apartment in Glyfada, was the bureaucracy still there in Glyfada as it was as you talk about when you're trying to build, when you get the property for the new home?
Well, no, because luckily we had the architect that was dealing with the whole thing himself. So
we had a lawyer as well.
yeah, he knew the way. So the architect that dealt with all the bureaucracy in Glyfada. We had to just have a little bit of bureaucracy trying to get the water meters and the electricity meters and the just the general bits and pieces, but nothing too devastating. But in Pefki, because we did everything ourselves,
Yeah.
Right from the buying the land, that's when we
Yeah.
suffered.
Yeah,
You know.
we had to do it all on our own.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Alex has a lovely way of dealing with these people, the bureaucrats.
Hmm.
First of all, she's very nice to her, and very nice and sweet, and hopefully that works. But
Very kind and
yeah,
respectful.
if it doesn't, then the swearing starts,
Yeah.
and then
Flip it. Ah!
You know,
and then we get
you know,
thrown out.
listen, for me, I don't look when I visit Greece. I don't look like a traditional Greek. I'm very fair skinned where my brother has,
Yeah.
the olive colored skin. So when they see me, they think I'm just an American. And then
Yeah.
they start talking. And then when I start answering them back, they kind of take a step back. I've gotten in numerous fights, especially at the airport. And you just got to say a few words, and they kind of get the gist
Oh,
of
yeah.
it.
Yes,
That
yes, yeah.
they back off very quickly.
So work it out.
Between the two books, were you going to say something?
No, no, no. No.
I was going to say, even with me being darker
Mm.
skinned, especially when I speak English, because when I learned English as a second English as a
Oh,
second
Hmm.
language because I spoke Greek.
okay.
So I had an accent when I was in
Mm.
school, and people always used to say, "Oh, you have an accent. Are you Greek?" And it
Mm.
bothered me. And so the older I got, the more I tried to get rid of
Ah,
the accent. And then we grew up outside of New
yes,
York, so you sound more like a New Yorker than
yes.
anything else. So usually they don't even guess. If anything, they guess Italian
Mm.
Yeah.
first for
Mm.
me. But then you kind of spill the beans because especially when you're pronouncing Greek
Mm.
foods,
Hmm.
we can't
No.
mispronounce them,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes I've gone in just to trick
Yes.
them and go, "I'll have a gyro. Can I get a gyro?"
Hmm.
But I just can't
Yeah.
do it. It comes out correctly. And as soon
Gyro.
as that happens, it tips your hand and they look at you and they
Yeah.
go, "Are you Greek?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway,
And
Always must.
looping back around to this, in the book, between the two books, you talk about going to Santorini
Yes,
and going
yes,
to and then going to Mykonos
yes,
as well.
yes,
So
yes.
a few years back, my wife and I, we went to Santorini,
Right.
and
Okay.
and we walked through the marketplace there, and you know, I told my wife, listen, let's just go in there. I said, I'll just don't say anything. I'll do all the talking. Okay. Which never works, by the way.
No,
And I'm sure it doesn't work for you
that
either,
doesn't
Peter.
work.
And yeah. And so the guy starts talking, and we go into this jewelry store. I can't name the thing of the store right offhand,
Mm.
but we found out after. His name is Alexander,
Right. Okay.
and supposedly he's the jeweler to the stars. We didn't know this.
Right.
My wife just starts looking at things,
Uh-huh.
and she looked at this bracelet, and she looked at this ring,
Mm.
and we start talking to the guy, the shop, the guys behind the counter. We're talking, oh, we'll give you a good deal. All of a sudden, I start talking Greek to them,
Ah.
and then they take that step back
Yes, yes,
and always,
yes.
where are you from?
Ah.
You know, and the guy says, some, Constantinople.
Mhm.
Oh, well, that just saying that opens up the pearly gates.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
So then the owner comes out, Alexander,
Mm.
starts talking to me,
Mm.
and he gives me a price, and it was a ridiculous price. It was
Mm.
ridiculous for, like I said, a ring.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my wife, and he goes to me, and then it was almost like $20,000, and I'm like, no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So he goes, I'm gonna give you a price like you're my nephew.
Okay.
So he comes around the counter, shows me the calculator, and in Greek I tell him, "Τα telephoniso την θεία μου," which I'm gonna call my aunt if I'm your nephew. Okay. So anyway, we did that. I'm like, you got to do better than that. Anyway, we figured it out.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of one of those things, and I really haven't seen it with any other community.
No.
But the Greek community, it's kind of funny.
Mm.
Once they know you're Greek,
Mhm.
it changes everything.
Yes.
Everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say it happens
Mm.
everywhere,
No.
but in most places,
Mm.
they do treat you like family.
Mm. Mm.
They do
Yeah.
treat you like family. And it's something, it's been a long time since my brother's been to Greece. And
Mm.
I keep telling him, like, you need to go because it's such a different experience than they take you in, and it's like so. You know how you were talking about her uncle Vasily,
Yes,
how he just like a bear hug, and that's you
yes,
just feel the culture
yes,
just hug you,
yes, yeah,
Alice,
and it.
πάμε Ελλάδα,
yeah,
έλα.
yeah,
Σήκω.
yeah, yeah.
But it was so wonderful. So
Mm.
let me just loop back. So when you talk in the first book, you talk about going to Santorini. Was that your first time on the island?
Yes, it was. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Santorini, um,
yeah,
yeah, and Mykonos as well. Yeah.
yeah.
Can I say something, guys?
Of course.
I've got a 7:30 Zumba uh, appointment. I have to go and dance. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
But I have to leave at least a quarter of an hour before.
We're 5 minutes.
Okay.
We'll
Oh, that's cool. Sorry about
we'll be done. Actually,
Συγγνώμη,
Sot,
αγάπη μου, αλλά πρέπει...
do you have some questions for them, Soto, before they have
So
to go?
Greek. This is
Ναι.
so Greek, you know. Here.
Αγάπη μου,
Yeah.
τώρα δεν μπορώ.
Yeah, but you know what, Peter? She's gonna end up being late anyway, so it doesn't make a
We're being
difference.
interviewed by two
Yeah,
famous people
Έχω
here,
ζούμπα, τι να
right?
κάνω.
yeah. So my question, Peter, was: are there any other aspects of Greek life, Greek culture, Greek
Mm,
regions that after writing the books that are very
mm,
personal to you, with you and Alex, her family, and so
yes.
forth? Are there other aspects of Greece that you feel inspired to write about? Because I think my
Mm,
perspective is we are always interested in hearing those that aren't Greek to come out of the culture, come into the
mm.
culture, and then look around and go, where was I
Yeah,
before?
yeah.
So I'm curious if there's because I think to my brother's point, I think the way you
Mm,
write and describe things is very authentic, right? People can read that and go, I can feel
yeah,
that. It's not it's something that you're basically saying you too can go
yes,
to these places in Greece and experience the same things. This isn't something that's out of your
yes.
reach. So I'm curious if there's any inspiration you have to write about other things that may not necessarily be about you and
Mm,
Alex,
mm.
but firmly ingrained in some form of Greek culture or just other parts of Greece that you find
I think
interesting
it's
through your travels living there.
it's the culture that surprised me to begin with. It still surprises me every day. I've never experienced anything like it, to be honest. From the day I arrived in Greece, the the love, the kindness, the purity of people I'd never seen. I'd never been hugged by a man. Um, in Greece, it's common. Um, an uncle, a
Yeah.
friend, someone. We go to a local taverna in Pevki, and as soon as I get out of the car, the owner comes over to me and he takes me in his arms and hugs me and kisses me on both cheeks. For me, it's a revelation. It's an incredible feeling that the openness and the friendliness of people. And coming from a culture where I grew up as pure English, big boys don't cry, they don't show emotions, stiff upper lip. It's you hide your feelings, you hide your emotions. You're not allowed to show these things. To
Mm-hmm.
being in a free culture where you can argue, you can fight, you can swear at people, and you argue and it's over. It's finished. It's an explosion. There's a quick firework and there's it out again. And Alex spent months trying to open me up when I first came to Greece. You thought I was far too English. She would do crazy things just to get a
Τι
reaction
να
from
κάνω,
me,
τι να κάνω.
But your question about writing, there's so much to write. There's so much that I haven't written yet. I've got to get more into the Greek food, the the socialization and the culture with Greek food. It's not just eating. It's a whole lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go for lunch and we'll spend 4 hours having lunch. Now
Yeah.
that's unknown anywhere else. Maybe okay, maybe France, maybe Italy, but I haven't experienced it. But
Mm-hmm.
in Greece, you'll sit down to have a meal, and by the time the meal's finished, you start with two people. By the time the meal's finished, there's 10 people at the table. Um,
Yeah.
and we're all chatting. We're all eating from the same plate, the same food on the table. It's a cultural experience every day. So every morning I wake up looking forward to lunch because I've got no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had a situation last year when we were in Pevki and we had a big lunch, and then we came home and I'm just about to sleep, and one of the taverna owners called and said, "I want to eat lucamadas. I don't want to eat lucamadas on my own. You come now. Eat
12 o'clock.
Yeah." So we all go down to the taverna, and we sit and have lucamadas. But by the time we finish, there's 20 people there eating lucamadas.
And afterwards, what did you say?
Then suddenly it's I want octopus. Anyone want octopus?
Nico, βάλε ένα χταπόδι στη φωτιά. After Lukuma.
We all leave one taverna because the next door taverna to eat octopus. And it's just that the role that food plays in Greek culture is wonderful, and I need to explore that more.
Yeah.
You know.
Take up. By the way, if you want to see something, watch something interesting, watch the episode that we did last year, I think, on Nikolaos Chelamendes, who's considered the father of modern Greek cuisine. He was born on the island of Sifos. His family owned restaurants, so he spent time when he was younger in Athens. He went to France to study French cuisine. But then came back and he's what Julia Child did for French cuisine in this country. I think he's done with his cookbooks. And the reason we came around to this is because my mother has an original one of his cookbooks that she gave to me because we all love to cook. And I never thought twice about it. And we were doing this podcast. And so I did a little more research on him. And it's absolutely fascinating because what you realize is things like pasticcio, right? The Greek lasagna.
Yeah.
The base of that dish is bechamel.
Yes.
Bechamel is not Greek. It's a classic French cream sauce. Now, there are people that will argue that he ruined the original recipes, but find me a pasticcio recipe or anybody who makes it that doesn't make it with bechamel sauce. So anyway, it's absolutely fascinating. Obviously, when you go through the cookbook, then you go, now I have to cook everything in the cookbook, and that's a whole different series that you can do. But anyway.
Wow. Yeah, so that's where I'm going to go next, I think. I'm going to explore the culture of Greek food and the influence on the culture of the people.
Well, with that, Peter, I'm going to volunteer us that if you need somebody to go on that adventure with you, we would love to walk down that street with you. I mean, we can definitely mark off some time off our calendar. And,
Yeah. I've just got to tell you one thing about the restaurant. Last year, Alex and I went to Meteora, and then we went off to Olympos, the mountain.
Okay.
And we went to a small village in the foothills, and it's a very high class restaurant. And they had real gourmet food, had wild boar, they had real wine sauces, but all with a Greek influence. It was very, very good quality food. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, this can't be Greece. This doesn't feel like Greece. This isn't taverna food. This is gourmet. And then the owner dragged a fridge out of the kitchen and started painting it in the restaurant. I thought, yes, we're in Greece.
That's awesome. That's definitely a story you need to put in your book, because that is just classic.
But that reassured me that I'm still in Greece. Everywhere else in the world, it's not going to happen. But drag a fridge out of the kitchen and start painting it in the middle of the restaurant. That's perfect.
Yeah. Well, listen, Peter and Alex, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We would love to have you again as guests. If we're not talking about your books, just to sit down and just talk about the culture and your own experience. So we'd love to have you on.
Just one last
once again,
thank you so much.
Last question, guys. The bechamel, the French bechamel, The French put cinnamon in the bechamel because we do.
No, no, we know who did that, but that's a conversation for another time.
She's getting all patriotic again now.
I'm not talking about the Greek modifications that happened.
With Greek bechamel.
Yes, exactly.
Φιλιά πολλά.
Thank you so much.
Έλα.
Once again, everybody, Peter Barber, his wife Alexandra. The books are called A Parthenon on Our Roof: Adventures of an Anglo-Greek Marriage, and the follow-up book is A Parthenon in Pelki. So once again, Peter and Alex, thank you for your time. We look forward to having you on the show again.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take care and be good.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Yes.
Sophie. Bye, Pedro. Bye, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.